We all feel that we should know more than we actually know. And as we know in this industry, there is always something we need to learn. And keeping up with those industry standards can sometimes feel like an impossible task. From constant comparisons to an endless pool of artistic talent, to our struggle to take a breath and recognize our achievements, imposter syndrome is almost an inevitable part of our journeys. So today, we touch on one of the most common struggles all of us face, as Anthony and I dive deep into our experiences with imposter syndrome. So, welcome to the Apple Box Podcast. I'm your host, Danny Lau, and I'm sitting across my co-host, Anthony Voltsinis. Let's get into it. All right, welcome to the Apple Box Podcast. Today, we are going to talk about something that is very, very common in this industry, imposter syndrome.
Yes, imposter syndrome. Diagnosed, the doctor was there, multiple opinions.
Yep.
Overnight tests. You got it. Imposter syndrome.
I think that's something that we all suffer from at some point, or we're suffering from. I think in your particular case, you're entering into commercial directing as somebody who was a very successful freelance videographer / photographer.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that and just how that transition kind of triggered the imposter syndrome.
Yeah. So I think imposter syndrome. I'm very self-critical.
Yeah.
So I think I've always had imposter syndrome, where you're very acutely aware of every little shortcoming you have as a human being, as a professional, which made me very hard on myself. And my compensation tactic was, hey, work harder than everyone else, which I think honestly I could say I did.
Yeah.
I can't say many things about myself, but I can say that.
It's not debatable at all. I think that's definitely the case.
But if you don't know me, then you're gonna think this guy has an ego, whatever.
Yeah.
But I know that to be true. So
yeah.
Entering into commercial directing out of almost necessity in a lot of ways. It's like in the freelance world, I was everything in my opinion. Like if someone needed a freelance photographer, videographer, you could come to me and I could service the job.
1,000%.
You know what I mean? Like
it didn't matter what it was, genre wise.
I did everything.
Yeah, you did everything.
And I did everything to a serviceable standard because
yeah.
I have a standard for myself.
Yeah.
So I was like comfortable in a lot of ways because I'm like, okay, like I'm working like my ass off.
Yeah.
But I've earned my status in this game. And I don't think anyone could have taken that away from me.
Yeah.
Now entering commercial directing, where I'm literally zero. Like nobody. Like no one like
nobody knows who you are.
Cares.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to build up reputation and like an inventory of gear and like status amongst my peers.
Yeah.
For people to believe in me and to understand, like, okay, this is Anthony, this is who he is, this is what he can do. So people believe in me, but the general populace has no idea who I am.
Yeah.
Especially since my Instagram's pretty much dead and dormant and I haven't been posting at all for like years. And a part of that is the imposter syndrome. Like, I am so critical of myself. Everything I release has to be good.
Yeah.
And as a freelancer, I was doing everything. So I'm like, everything's so good, but not everything is great because I can't specialize in something.
Yeah.
So now, become like in terms of commercial directing, if that's the focus, I'm literally starting from ground zero.
Yeah.
However, I was able to build a network and a resources and people who believe in me that will get me further ahead faster.
Yeah.
Obviously, which is a privilege, but I earned that privilege.
Yeah.
So now it's a matter of, okay, like it's kind of difficult to go from, okay, I was pretty much this person as a freelancer, and now I'm like nobody, and nobody cares. And I put all 7 years of freelancing grind to the point where I'm like actually injured, and now I have to start from zero again. It's like mentally, it's a hurdle. It's a big hurdle.
It's tough,
but that's part of the game, I guess.
If I were to take this metaphor and turn it into analogy of like the fight game, you can be a top dog at your gym.
Exactly.
But once you start fighting the top dogs at other gyms, where do you belong? And I think that's a different game. It's kind of like going to the UFC now. All right, you're top dog of your city, maybe even.
Yep.
Right? But now you got to fight people from all around the world. It's a different kind of league that you're entering into.
Yep.
And that's why imposter syndrome is pretty natural in that case.
It's inevitable unless you're delusional.
Unless you're absolutely delusional. in a lot of ways, like I faced that, especially early on in pandemic, saying like, I'm going to be a cinematographer,
Yeah.
not even like fully knowing how to be a cinematographer. And like, I faced that same thing where I'm going like, I'm a nobody. But before all this, I felt like I built myself to be this somebody, just like you. My whole mindset was work harder than everybody else. I was all over my stories talking about it all the time. I was all traveling the world, and like, you're the main character in your own video game, but then you realize there's more to the more to the story than just that one stage you're in.
Yeah.
And I use that video game analogy because it's true, right? It goes with life, but it also goes with the career. Is you are the main character in your own video game. If at the end of the day you don't believe that you can achieve or go into the next level, you're just going to keep fighting the same little monsters that you're fighting at level 1. And you're going to kill them every single time. But it's until you can go to the next level when you start grinding for the better stuff so that you can start fighting bigger enemies and bigger monsters. That's when you start growing again. And that's when you start getting bigger. And that's when you can start saying that, you can be proud of what you're doing. And I think that's the imposter syndrome is tough, because you can look at that and be like, I don't belong there, or I don't feel like I'm at this person's level. Well, you're not supposed to be.
Yeah.
You are a nobody right now. Even you as Anthony, when we talk about this, you're a nobody right now. Nobody knows who you are. It doesn't matter though. And if you get caught up in that, the biggest issue is you're never going to let yourself get to that.
You'll stay frozen. Yeah.
You'll stay frozen because you'll be beating yourself up. That's a very negative perspective to look at it, things from. And I think that's the same thing that I had to get over at the beginning, was realizing that you're nobody again. How did I go from, making money as a freelance, working in broadcast, working shows all around the world, to then coming back to Toronto and knowing nobody and being like, yeah, I'm a cinematographer. Trust me, guys, I can light. Trust me. And then they're like, nobody. I had to invest in myself.
Yeah.
You and I had to go and buy all this gear to create content for people to be like, okay, these guys kind of know what they're doing. They're not a joke. They're not just talking shit. Right. And I had to get to that point. And that cost me a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of resources, but I had to do it to prove to people that I can. So it took me a while, but part of me still feels like, because I always look at the next level, just like you. Like, I always look at the people that are above me and they're doing way better than me, or doing work that's way above my level. That I look and I'm like, I'm not that person. And that's scary, but that's why I put myself out there, right? And I go to people who I respect and people I look up to, image makers that I said, I'm like, I want to make images like that. And I offer myself, be like, I'll come out for free. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very common thing, and I think a lot of people are going to face that when they first transition into specializing or going for something a little bit more ambitious.
Yeah, it's a beauty. It's like a gift and a curse in a lot of ways. Like you're letting go of like your old self, as long as you're okay with that. Like if you don't want to leave, then don't.
Yeah.
But if you have to change and pivot and start new in a lot of ways, I think you got to understand that you aren't starting new, because you have that bank of experience and understanding from those years of living. Like in my experience, like every freelance job I've ever did, I don't regret at all, because it's literally built me into who I am today. I have experience in a lot of different aspects of the industry.
So much good to take from it.
It's informed, you know, and it also allowed me to acquire a lot of equipment. Yeah. Things like that have serviced our productions thus far to get us to a point where we can actually market ourselves properly. But then the gift is like, you can become whoever you want. Yeah. It's like you're starting fresh again. Yeah. But just with more information. And there's like a beauty in that if you can think about it that way. Obviously, it's very difficult. Yeah. To like realize and look back like, oh shit, like I was this person before, and now I'm like nothing. But if you can get over that and realize, okay, well, you can't stay nothing. Yeah. You can become something, and if you believe in yourself, then and you get inspired, you're like, oh shit, like what could I become? Like what do I want to be? Letting go of that ego. Yeah. And like that reset button hurts. It sucks. But realizing that like you have a better support system now, and just like how you mentioned that it's a positive perspective on your situation. I think it's very easy to have a negative perspective on any situation. There's a negative perspective everywhere you go. And choice, I think you can easily go the other route and be like, I fucked up. I wasted my time. I did this. I regret that. And I regret that.
and then you're just really stinting your growth. You're really hurting your momentum.
And I felt that, like, honestly, I have. It's
absolutely, they're real feelings.
Yeah,
it's the real feelings, but they're not the feelings you should be focusing on.
Yeah, you can't, because there's only two ways. Like, it's either that or progress. Like, I can easily sit and look back. Fuck, like I wasted 7 years of my life.
Yeah.
To just to be injured, to like to have no relationships, to like no days off, like no intentional days off. Like, these are all choices I made. Like, I can't sit here and like complain. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, I have to be grateful for everything that I've done. I am, and it being the current circumstances just require a different decision to be made, and that's just life.
The negative side of things are so tempting because it feels good. It feels good to entertain that side and be like, I want to just dive in my own sorrows and regret.
I don't know if it feels good, but
but I mean, like, it feels good in the sense of like, it's kind of like letting yourself rant for something you've been holding on for so long. Like, there's a satisfaction in it, a strange satisfaction in it of feeling like misery loves company, and you just want to accompany it. But you start to realize, I think, because of your experience in this industry, you start to realize you can't operate like that. If you want to actually achieve what you want to achieve, you have to realize that it's there, you felt it, it's done. You need to actually focus on, what do I got to do to be proactive and gain momentum to do what I want to do? Because if I don't, nobody here is sitting out there waiting for me to become the next director. Nobody's sitting there begging for an Anthony Voltsinis to do my commercial. Nobody gives a fuck about who I am.
Exactly.
Right? And so I need to go out there and I need to prove myself. And in order for you to do that, you have to pull from the positive, which is what I like about what you talked about today, is pulling from the positive. What has that 7 years taught me? And what is great about it? And how can I take that now and apply it to what I want to do? And I think that's a valuable lesson for people to, like you said, when you're ready to get over it, evaluate the whole situation, feel all the emotions you're supposed to feel, but pick the positive and fucking run with it.
What was this episode about again? Like, what was the initial topic?
Imposter syndrome.
Oh, imposter syndrome. Yes, exactly. So yeah, I guess going back to that.
Yeah.
Whoa. I think it's like it's okay. Like, you just gotta understand that you even if you are an imposter or you're not, it doesn't really matter. You're still in the game, and as long as you're actually truthful to, like, about yourself, like, you aren't delusional about your skill set. You gotta, like, just keep moving.
Let me get this out there right now for do imposter syndrome. Everyone's an imposter.
Yeah.
You're a fucking imposter. And if that hurts you, you're not ready. You need to be ready to hear that. And you need to understand that and accept it. And know that you are not where you think you should be, and that's okay. And that's how it should be.
Yeah.
You need to be hungry and passionate. So you need to work for something. You can't be hungry and passionate and be complacent and comfortable at the same time. Those two things don't go together. So yes, everybody here is an imposter. And if that hurts you, then you're just not ready.
But then you also realize, like, it's not even about that. Like, everyone here is just further along.
That's it.
In their journey of, like, trying to figure it out. No one really has the answer.
If you're already focusing on that, you're already focusing on the wrong thing.
Yeah, it's just, yeah, exactly. It's just I mean, obviously it's easy to get caught up, but again, like, the solution isn't to just sit there and think about it. Like all these people who are posting on Instagram, like, okay, you gotta, at least for me, like, telling myself, it's you have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in yourself enough to, like, okay, I know what I'm capable of, and I don't need to be who everyone else is.
Yeah.
If I'm true to myself,
yes,
then you will never be an imposter in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
As long as you're not, like I said, delusional about who you are.
Yeah.
So you have people around you who can keep you in check. It's like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever, and it's dog shit. Like, okay, tame it yourself. Because for me, I don't think I'll ever be that, because I'm such a, person who is very self-critical and, like, very analytical of the things I do.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm probably delusional in other ways, but I think your environment also helps a lot.
But that's the environment, right?
Yeah.
That's where, like, you need to have a Danny on your side, and I need, or an Anthony on your side, right? Like, I'm sure if I create an image and it's not good, I can tell by how you react if it's not good.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're not going to sit there and be like, yeah, this is amazing, and it's not amazing.
You need honesty,
right?
For sure.
You need honesty around you, and I think that's going to help you. But I think the biggest thing is, if you were to take anything away from this episode, is to reduce your expectations of yourself and increase your ambition.
Yeah.
and always chase. Look for something. Go for it. Just go for something. And just, again, you don't have to be the most confident person in the world to do this. You just need enough confidence to start. You just need momentum.
Yeah.
That's all you need. And you'll find it along the way. Don't feel like you have to be a Christopher Nolan today or a Greg Fraser today. Don't feel like you need to be those big stars, even the people you even look up to, right? Like people on a mid-tier level. You don't need to be those people today. You just need to have enough to get yourself on that journey to start. Because the worst thing you can do is just sit there and do nothing and just think about it. If you're thinking about how and I know this sucks, but if you're just thinking about your feelings, I'll say this right now, get faster and get more efficient about cycling through your feelings and managing your feelings.
Yeah.
Get efficient at it and get better at doing it by yourself. Because at the end of the day, there's nobody out there in this world that's going to sit there and wait for you and say, once you get over yourself, I can't wait to hire you for my gig. Nobody gives a fuck. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of directors out there. They don't need you.
Yeah.
So get over yourself and get over your feelings and find a way to manage it. I know that sucks. And trust me, this is coming from somebody who's been through a lifetime of trauma. You know some of it. Other people know some of it. I might not show it. I might not see it. But this is a result of the fortitude that I've created through that pain, right? Through all that trauma. I'm not saying this out of my ass right now, right? So if you can get through that, then eventually you start to realize that the imposter syndrome at the end of the day doesn't matter. And if you're thinking about it, you're thinking about the wrong thing.
Yeah, I agree. It doesn't matter because you're ultimately just against yourself, and not against yourself, but if you just measure yourself to who you were. And for me, I work well with okay, if I think about the big picture, I'm going to lose track of things. I need to think about the next steps, the actions I can take to build momentum. But it's okay, I want to do this. What's a practical approach to getting there? Yeah. I got to do this, this, and this today. Okay, cool. Yeah. Check them off my list. Slow progress. That helps me bring down the lofty idea and things I want to be and people I look up to, brings it down to baseline. Where I'm like, okay, this is a practical approach
Smaller
to probably
battles.
Get there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, small. And it tricks my mind into you're achieving things. You're actually making progress, even if it's small. It's for me, it's like a psychological thing. Yeah. So.
And I think those practices are good because you're going to need to develop that for yourself. You're going to find because I operate differently, right? I operate kind of like a free for all, wild, wild west, just trust in your instincts and trust your heart, right? Whereas you operate on more like a more organized, I would say organized, but more organized structure versus what I do. Yeah. But it works for each and every one of us. It's different people. So you just got to figure that stuff out, and you got to figure it out and be confident in it. Don't get caught up in if Christopher Nolan does this exact way, that I should do it too. No, if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. It's okay if it doesn't work for you. If you can't do something like that, then it's okay. It's like me as a DP. Somebody might be better at camera movement than I am because they just have the vision for it and know when to insert camera movement, and that's okay. Maybe that's just not what my specialty is, right? Maybe that's not my little secret sauce. My secret sauce can lay on the tripod. I don't know, right? Everybody is a little bit different, and you just got to be okay with it. The whole comparison thing, right? Comparing yourself to other people, you start to realize, and you can hear this from a lot of other guests, and if you listen to our other episodes, you hear them say, just be you, man, and stop worrying about trying to be somebody else. And
it's also inspiring to there's two ways to look at competition, if it's competition. Yeah. People who are maybe further along in their journey than you are, it is inspiring. It's for example, we talked to Mike Ray, a director. Yeah. It's looking at his work, it's fucking inspiring, man. It's this guy's crazy. This guy's doing
so good,
crazy work. And it's that's the perspective I'm trying to keep adopting for this industry. It's okay, there's people who are doing crazy work. Yeah. I'll get there one day. And it's not about I'm going to be better than anyone. I don't care.
Yeah, it's not about how can I be better than Mike or how can I be like Mike. It's more like how can Anthony find his level of eliteness in this craft. Yeah, if you did stuff at that level with those resources, with that experience level, what will come out of it? It'll be totally different from
100%
from anybody else. And that's what's exciting, to see what comes out of that.
Yeah, just be the best person that you could potentially be in any given day, and you'll probably get to where you want to go. So
Yeah, as long as you have all the other things in check, right, in life. But yeah,
get your shit sorted. Make your bed. Yeah, you know.
Exactly. Be create the habits you need to do as a human to be a functional human society, and
Getting deep now.
in your own way. But yeah, it can go on deep and deeper and deeper and deeper. But the whole thing comes down to that one thing of just be you. But yeah, imposter syndrome.
And it's okay to suck. If you suck, it's okay. You get better.
Well, I mean, everyone sucks.
Yeah.
Let's just be real. Everyone sucks, right?
I would say everyone sucks.
Well, I mean, everyone sucks at something, right? Like,
Yeah.
In one aspect, I don't think there's one person who can sit there as a DP and say like they are great at every little aspect of the craft.
Yeah, of course.
Like, it's just you're gonna suck at something. So if you take that perspective and understand that you suck at something, then you're gonna realize it's okay to suck. Just focus on what you're good at.
Yeah,
I can come from a DP
perspective.
perspective. Like I can come at from DP perspective. From director's perspective, it's a little different, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Because it's not so much like just make sure you don't suck at telling your story your way.
That's important. That's like the biggest thing.
Like you're probably going to have trouble coming up with a horror story, but you'll have easy time coming up with a comedy. you know?
Yeah. Because it's also just based on who you are as a person, right? Like,
Yeah.
and where you are in life. Like you might, I might do horror later. Who knows? Like
Who
I'm
knows?
not. It's usually, I go with what I'm inspired by.
But I think that's what the beautiful thing about this industry is you shouldn't know what you're going to be 5 years from now. It should just be, who knows? Maybe I'll be doing high key commercials, or maybe I'll be shooting documentaries. Like,
Exactly. Or
it's wild. Who knows what can happen?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's imposter syndrome 101, I guess.
That's enough of that.